Josh and I had been together 6 years. We'd never once talked about holding a wedding. Not until Mom's life was almost over did she voice her only wish, to watch Josh and me walk down the aisle together. But on our wedding day, Josh never showed. Mom watched me standing alone at the altar and, in her agitation, suffered a sudden heart attack. I forced myself to stay upright and called Josh, but all I ever got back was the cold mechanical ringtone. In the end, my mother died with that regret stitched into her final breath. While I was in the middle of planning the funeral, I saw an Instagram post from his personal secretary, Chloe. May the years be worth looking back on, and may we grow old together in love. The picture showed Josh's arm around her shoulders while she lifted her face to kiss his lips. My heart crumbled to ash. I texted him instantly. Josh, we are completely done. After sending it, I deleted every trace of him from my contacts. Then, alone and eerily calm, I handled the aftermath of my mother's death. Relatives and friends sobbed and clung to one another, but I didn't react at all. From slipping out of my wedding gown to escorting her to the crematorium, the whole process took only a few hours. Yet that very morning, Mom had still been holding my hand, gently stroking my head, whispering blessings. Our Serena is going to be happy from now on. But Mom, without you, how could I ever be happy? While I waited for the cremation, I even idly refreshed Instagram. Chloe had just updated again. Thank you, Rivers, for the gift, I absolutely love it. The shot showed their interlaced hands, matching wedding bands gleaming on each ring finger. Only then did I realize I'd forgotten to delete her as well. Perfect, delete and block, one-stop service. I'd just finished when the funeral home returned Mom's ashes. I hugged the small urn and walked away. Even at a distance I could hear staff quietly warning relatives to keep an eye on me. I gave a tiny, indifferent smile. Once everything was finally done, I dragged my exhausted body home. But losing a loved one isn't a sudden storm, it's the longest, dreariest drizzle of your life. I stepped inside, saw every familiar corner, and instinctively called out, Mom, I'm home. The only answer was hollow, echoing emptiness. Only then did the reality sink in, she was gone forever. Tears that had refused to fall at the funeral now poured like a summer cloudburst. I crouched in the corner of the couch, sobbing until my face was soaked. I didn't even notice when I cried myself to sleep. My pillow must have been soaked with tears, because I slept terribly. So when I opened my eyes and saw Josh again, I thought I was still dreaming. Groggy, I lifted my head, he was staring down at me with open contempt. I rolled over to go back to sleep, until Josh slapped my arm with a sharp crack. Smack. I looked up, his face was a mask of impatience. Beside him, Chloe clung to his arm in a pretty little dress, makeup flawless. She hadn't said a word, yet everything about her screamed that I was worthless. Seeing us freeze like that, Chloe tilted her head, voice sweet and innocent. I'm so sorry, Serena. I was in a bad mood last night, I was scared and begged Josh to stay with me. Don't be mad. If I ruined things between you two, I'd never forgive myself. Still, no matter how angry you are, you shouldn't joke about your own mother. I swept my gaze over her faux-naive face, over Josh's sneer. I couldn't be bothered. I was simply exhausted, every cell in my body felt drained. All I wanted was to sleep, and even that was being denied. I glanced at the flaming red welt on my arm, the swelling made it obvious how hard he'd hit. Thinking of the past 6 years, a mocking smile tugged at my lips. I looked straight at Josh and said coldly, of course I don't mind. After all, Josh and I have already broken up. Finished, I didn't wait for their reaction, I turned and went to pack. After lying on the couch so long, standing up too fast made the room spin. Josh only rolled his eyes and settled on the sofa with Chloe to watch TV. When I reappeared in the doorway dragging my suitcase, I suddenly remembered Buddy. During Mom's final months, racked with pain and depression, Buddy had been her therapy dog. Thanks to him, she survived countless nights of despair. Sometimes I joked that Buddy had more charm with Mom than I did. She used to laugh and say Buddy was a golden gentleman with a built-in sense of humor. I doubled back to the living room, right into Josh's line of sight. His arm stayed draped around Chloe, he didn't even lift his eyelids. Now you're sorry? Let me tell you, Serena, unless you beg me, forget about my forgiveness. I never spared him a glance. I walked straight to the balcony to take Buddy. He was the only thing Mom had left me after she fell ill. She'd said, Serena, I don't ask much, just take good care of Buddy. Because I kept ignoring him, Josh's face darkened. Just as I crossed the living room, he kicked a stool into my path. I crashed into the glass balcony door, it shattered, and I fell onto shards of glass, blood blooming everywhere. He scowled, lit a cigarette, took a long drag, then exhaled a lazy smoke ring. It's just a damn dog, why act like it's priceless? You really are nuts. I pushed myself up on shaking arms and looked at the empty balcony. Buddy never wandered off, he wasn't in his crate, where could he be? I forced myself to stand, ready to search every room. Josh's expression grew stormier when I still wouldn't answer him. Serena, stop embarrassing yourself over a mutt. I stayed with Chloe, so what? Quit acting half dead. It's only a wedding, next time I'll throw you another one, okay? I gave a cold laugh and stared right back. Josh, there won't be a next time. Only a wedding. But it wasn't just a wedding, it was Mom's last wish. Even if it weren't, how could a wedding ever be unimportant? In his eyes, Chloe outweighed me and my mother combined. To him, the tiniest thing about Chloe mattered more than anything about us. For 6 years, I'd always been the one crawling back, apologizing whenever anything went wrong. Maybe Chloe was the Rivers he truly wanted, his cherished helpmeet. And I was just a cigarette he'd lit along the way. Once I'd given him a fleeting moment of pleasure. Now I was nothing but a pile of ash to be tapped off and forgotten. Just like all those nights I'd waited for him to come home. What always reached me instead were fresh rumors that he was with Chloe. Just like every message I sent, sinking without a ripple. They could stay out till dawn, eat together, share the same hotel suite. Later, Chloe added me on WhatsApp. Every few days a new ping arrived. Sometimes a shot of their clasped hands, sometimes a selfie of them wrapped in each other's arms. Don't worry, Serena, I'll take good care of Josh. And take care of him she did, so well that his heart drifted completely away from me. I stared at Josh with ice-cold eyes, my voice flat and frigid. If it's about her, the tiniest thing is earth-shattering. If it's about me, the biggest crisis is trivial. You adore her so much, why not just be her boyfriend? His face darkened on the spot. Just as I gripped the pull handle of my suitcase, he lost it. God damn it, will you ever quit? You want me on my knees repenting? You want me dragging Chloe down to kneel with me, only then you'd be satisfied, right? His roar ignited a sudden furnace inside me. I glared back, my whole body crackling with rage. 6 years together, and this was how unreasonable he thought I was. When I froze mid-step, something like guilt flickered across his eyes. He reached out to stop me. Chloe's voice cut him off first. From the kitchen drifted the unmistakable scent of stewing meat. A steady blurp-blurp of bubbling reached all the way into the living room. It felt bizarre, but I couldn't spare a thought for household mysteries. I had to find Buddy. I scoured every corner, calling, searching. Nothing. Just as I bolted for the door to search outside, Chloe caught my arm, smiling tauntingly. Serena, don't be mad. My Chinese doctor says I'm rundown, dog tonic is perfect. Josh simmered a little soup for me, tastes amazing, still warm in the pot. Want a bowl? It's only a dog, right? You're not upset, are you, sis? A sheet of ice climbed from my heels to my scalp. One last thought filled my skull. Buddy is dead, cooked, and I couldn't even honor Mom's final wish. Rage exploded upward. I snatched the tissue box off the side table and smashed it into Chloe's head. My swing was still in the air when Josh erupted. He strode over, seized my suitcase, and hurled it to the floor. Clothes sprayed across the carpet. Serena. My patience has limits. Don't dump your tantrum on an innocent person. It's a damn dog. Want more? Buy 10, buy 20. Apologize to Chloe, now. I stood shaking, tears locked behind my eyes. Sorry, Mom. The last gift you gave me, and I still couldn't protect it. Chloe, eyes glistening, hid behind Josh like a terrified kitten. I'm sorry, Serena. Please don't be like this, you're scaring me. Her tears dripped cheaply onto the tiles, voice trembling. I'll solve my problems myself next time. Don't fight with Josh because of me. We both went to check, your mom isn't in the hospital. Stop lying to Josh. She lifted her gaze to him, the picture of fragile courage. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Josh, you actually think I'm the one lying? He looked at me with cold contempt. I asked your mom's doctor, Serena. Her condition is stable, she wasn't going to die anytime soon. If you're inventing sob stories, at least pick a believable one. I stared, stunned. True, her illness had been under control. But on our wedding day, the groom never showed. She watched her only daughter abandoned on the stage, drowning in whispers. The humiliation was too much, her heart stopped right there, no hospital, no second chance. Facing Josh now, part of me felt relieved. Relieved we hadn't impulsively filed those papers when passion ran high, relieved I hadn't legally bound myself to him. Yet it also felt as though our ending had been inked from the very first page. Because I couldn't bear to waste 6 years, I'd frantically hunted for any sign he still loved me. The longer Chloe stayed, the fewer signs remained. Since the finish line was inevitable, why not cross it right here, right now? The spot where the tissue box had hit Chloe flamed red, barely a tenth of the bruise blooming on my own arm. Josh rifled through the first aid kit, gently swabbing ointment onto her bump. Watching her sniffle, he lost the last thread of his temper. Once Chloe was patched up, he spun toward me, threat blazing in his eyes. Serena, don't push your luck. Chloe did nothing wrong. Even after she learned you were lying, she begged me to reconcile with you. And look at you, attacking her over a mutt. Are you proud? This is the last time I'm saying it, apologize to Chloe. Refuse, and we're done. Pack your things and get the hell out. I gave a low laugh, bent, and began stuffing clothes back into the suitcase. I wouldn't wait for his order, I was never setting foot here again. Minutes crawled by. My silence shredded his final nerve. He lunged, fisted my hair, yanked my head back, then clamped a hand around my throat, tightening. Needles of pain shot across my scalp. I clawed at his wrist, missed, felt the crush of suffocation, yet refused to scream. His features twisted savagely, the pressure increased. Apologize, Serena. Deaf, are we? Forgot how sorry works? You want your damn dog? Taste him, then. He released me, stalked to the freezer, pulled out a slab of frozen meat, and crammed it between my teeth. Buddy's bones scraped flesh, drawing blood. Tears scalded my eyes, pain contorted my face. Still unsatisfied, he dragged me by the hair to Chloe's side and slapped me hard. So chatty a second ago, cat got your tongue? Begged for the dog, didn't you? It's in your mouth, eat up. Or maybe your precious dog doesn't taste good? He slammed me face down onto the coffee table, stuffed wad after wad of paper towels down my throat. Blood flooded my airway, racking coughs shook me. He hammered the back of my head, grinding my forehead against the corner. Crimson dribbled into my lashes. Happy now? Ready to say sorry? No? Then crawl out and never come back. Veins roped his neck, he panted like a rabid animal. Behind him, Chloe pressed a hand to the faint welt on her head, tears falling in perfect droplets, an actress collecting her Oscar. Josh glanced back at the scene and his face instantly chilled. Serena, apologize, now. There were so many cuts on my body I didn't know which one to cover first. I just wiped the blood from my cheek with the back of my hand and flicked my gaze toward the camera that was still recording. Only when he saw how bad I looked did a flicker of panic cross Josh's eyes. It seemed he actually wanted to come help me up. That was when Chloe, suddenly all frail and trembling, spoke up. Josh, don't fight with Serena because of me. I'm fine. Serena, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have bothered Josh. I'm sorry. The moment the words left her lips, she actually stepped up to me, bent down like she was going to lift me, and I jerked away. Caught off balance, she straightened in awkward silence, turned to Josh with a wounded look, and murmured, Josh. He strode straight to her, pulled her protectively against him, then spun on me with blazing eyes. Serena, don't push your luck. Do you have any idea how much Chloe's done for you? Even after Buddy got that terminal notice, scared out of her mind, she still begged me to go see you. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Everything she's done for me? Josh, tell me, should I kneel in gratitude that she walked off with the groom on our wedding day? Should I thank her for barging in as the other woman? Maybe I ought to send her a card, thanks for taking out the trash. My voice was ice. I let his stunned stare bore into my face, the same way he used to look at me when he thought I was just throwing another jealous tantrum. But this time every word was carved in stone, no regrets. Josh's face went livid. He spat each syllable. Serena, my patience has limits. Don't think 6 years together gives you leverage over me. I'm telling you, impossible. This is your last chance. I met his glare with a sneer. Patience? When have you ever shown me any? Let me save you the suspense, we're done. Date whoever you want, love whoever you want. Free country. My sarcasm made him snap. Freedom? Don't forget, Serena, your mother begged me to marry you, begged me to give you a home after she was gone. She's lying in that hospital right now waiting for me to walk down the aisle, don't you forget it. For a second my blood froze, every instinct screamed to lunge at him. He wasn't worth my life. I drew a slow breath, forcing down the pain knifing through my chest. Josh, how dare you even mention our wedding? She only hoped I'd meet someone decent later on, not that I had to chain myself to you. The world doesn't stop spinning just because you get off. If you're worthless, there are plenty of men willing to take your place. You're nothing special. Each sentence darkened his face another shade, until the words seemed scraped from his clenched teeth. Serena, this is what I get for trying, like feeding a dog that bites the hand. I actually set up a specialist consult for your mom. Looks like she's miraculously healthy, doesn't need experts after all. He yanked out his phone and dialed. Cancel the consult I booked for Serena's mother, right now. The person on the other end hesitated, then replied, Sorry, Rivers, Vance passed away. Vance didn't inform you? Josh barked, incredulous, what kind of sick joke is that? She's dead? You're in on this with her. I just poured millions into your department. He hurled the phone down in rage. Chloe hurried to soothe him. Don't be angry, maybe there's been a mistake. Watching their little act turned my stomach. Every stab of pain in my body reminded me what I'd just survived. I hauled myself upright and limped toward the door. I didn't even want the things on the floor. But as I reached the foyer, Josh's cold voice stopped me. Wait. Nothing's been cleared up, you're not leaving. I promised your mother I'd look after you. We're not finished. A bitter laugh echoed in my head. I turned, eyes glittering with contempt, grabbed a tissue, wiped the blood from my temple, and dropped the crimson ball at his feet. Look after me, is that what you call this? Josh, if you can't own your cruelty, stop the act. Something in that snapped his last thread. He kicked the bloody tissue away and roared, Stop pretending. We don't even know if your mom is really dead, and you're already playing the martyr. I stared at him, finally seeing clearly, love really had been a blinding drug. To think I'd wasted years on garbage like him. So my mother's death needs your official stamp? Are you the Reaper now? My mockery hit a nerve. He lunged, slapping my already swollen cheek so hard the crack rang out. Seeing his hand smeared with my blood seemed to jolt him, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Serena, just, calm down. Stay in the house. I'll move back to the estate for a few days. The room spun, I clutched the shoe rack to stay upright. Chloe actually stepped closer, reaching to steady me. Serena, Josh really cares, I'd had enough. I shoved her away with what little strength I had and collapsed to the floor. She toppled, eyes brimming with instant tears. Serena, I only wanted to help. Josh scooped her up, tender as ever, and without another blow carried her downstairs. When their footsteps faded, I fished my shattered phone from my bag, enabled real-time recording, and saved every second of the assault. Then I went to the wall camera, yanked out the SD card, and slipped it into my bra. I couldn't file a police report yet, but I could wait. Wait for the day the Rivers dynasty crumbled. I tucked the card beside my heart, snapped photos of the blood on the parquet and the smears near the door, then called 911 for an ambulance. Hours of scans later, the doctors tallied the damage: multiple lacerations, burst capillaries in my face, a split lip, a bleeding scalp, moderate concussion. I folded every page of the medical report into my file, evidence for the day I'd need it. Just before discharge, a news alert flashed on my phone. I opened the photo, a family dinner, the matriarch looking sour while Chloe sat nestled among them. The decor was unmistakable, the same dining room where I'd once been humiliated. Everything I'd begged for, Chloe now received on a silver platter. I still remembered the first time Josh brought me home, flush with excitement, gifts in my arms, only to have Eleanor sneer me into silence. Her expression was ice cold. When she looked at me, her eyes were full of contempt, and when she looked at Josh, there wasn't a trace of affection either. She simply stared at me with frozen disdain and spoke in a voice dripping with scorn. No. A woman like this is fine for a fling, but she will never be welcomed into our family. Josh started to rise and argue, yet under his mother's stare he slowly sank back down. Thinking about it now, maybe he had always been a coward, it was only my love that let him believe he was strong. The memory made me snort out loud. I powered off the phone screen and stopped torturing myself with the headlines. The day I checked out of the hospital, the weather was unexpectedly gorgeous. With the few belongings I had left, I moved into my new place, rented, but every corner felt warm and welcoming. I spent the whole afternoon excitedly unpacking, and finally collapsed on the sofa, exhausted. Outside, the window birds were chirring, and lulled by the sound, I drifted off to sleep. This time, no one would interrupt my rest. When I woke, it was already late afternoon. After a full day of chores, I realized I'd barely eaten a thing. My growling stomach finally reminded me, so I grabbed my keys, planning to go downstairs and pick up groceries to cook. Down in the lobby, I saw someone who had no business being there. Josh was leaning against the wall, a pile of cigarette butts at his feet. Who knew how long he'd been waiting? I didn't want a scene, so I turned to leave, but he blocked my path. I frowned, instinctively checking that the security camera above was still blinking, then asked, "What do you want?" "Say it quick, or step aside, I'm going out." He looked down at me, voice hoarse. "Are you heading out for lunch?" I took a step back, eyeing the gap beside him, and answered coldly, "Where I go is none of your business." A flicker of embarrassment and guilt crossed his eyes. I had never seen that expression on his face before, never expected it. Looks like he finally knew the truth about my miscarriage. We stood in silence until he spoke again. "Can we talk somewhere private? I need to tell you something." Cautiously, I retreated half a step. "Sorry, no. I don't see anything left for us to discuss." I tried to slip past him, but he shifted and blocked me again. I backed up 2 paces, laughing scornfully, then spun around and sprinted upstairs. He tried to follow, but I slammed the security door shut in his face. Inside, I opened a delivery app and ordered lunch. After I finished eating, I pulled out my laptop and started frantically submitting applications online, especially to every competitor of Josh's company. Top-tier university plus big firm experience meant my resume stood out. Soon interview invitations flooded my inbox. The next morning I got up early, did my makeup, and even spritzed on perfume for the first time in ages. Downstairs, there he was again. I tried to walk past him, pretending I hadn't noticed, but as I passed his car he flung the door open and caught my wrist. You worked beside me as my secretary. Do you have any idea how tough the job market is? Come back. I can take care of you for life. Seeing him stand there handing out charity like some benevolent lord, I yanked my hand free. I repeated silently, "Don't get mad, not now." I sidestepped him, but again he barred my way. "Serena, stop being angry. I bought the apartment you're renting. If you don't want to move back in, that's fine, I'll come stay with you whenever I'm free." I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. Great, just great. Josh, if your brain is broken, go see a shrink. You beat me, now you want to make up? If you're really sorry, stay the hell away from me. Quit playing the repentant husband cliché. After that outburst I spun to leave, but he blocked me once more. "Serena, your position at the company is still open. I lost control that day, I'm sorry. We can hold the wedding again, same hotel as before." I let out a cold laugh, nausea churning in my stomach. "Josh, if apologies fixed everything we wouldn't need police. You want me back at Rivers so mommy can scold you again? Or so your precious secretary can accuse me of slander? You're disgusting." Before the words had fully left my mouth, he had gone pale, bracing himself against the car, lips trembling as though he still had something to say. I wasn't interested in listening. Once, I'd spoken 1,000 heartfelt sentences to him, yet none weighed as much as a single whisper from Chloe. The past is past, no more wasting energy. Within minutes his phone rang nonstop. He declined every call until, exasperated, he powered it off. Watching how smoothly he did it, I felt a flicker of curiosity. I'd figured Chloe would be Rivers by now, yet apparently the honeymoon was already over. None of that concerned me anymore. Ignoring him, I hailed a cab to Sterling. I'd applied to Josh's biggest rival, Sterling. The interview went smoothly, and in the final round CEO Ethan himself sat across from me. He studied me with open suspicion and finally asked, "You jumped ship from Rivers. How do I know you're not a spy?" I smiled calmly, pulled up the footage I'd saved on my phone, and said with confidence, "Give me a desk at Sterling and I will take Rivers down within 3 years." He held my gaze so long I thought I'd blown it, then he extended his hand. "Welcome to Sterling, Serena." I shook it and officially joined the company. Leveraging my old network, I undercut Josh on price and poached one major contract after another. At the year-end gala I stepped on stage as an outstanding employee to receive my award. Ethan was nothing if not generous. Instead of a cash bonus, he handed me the deed to a downtown penthouse that money alone could never buy. I was thrilled. Yet I never expected to see Josh and Chloe walk into the banquet hall. Gone was Chloe's sweet little flower aura, replaced by something sharp and shrewish. Josh's eyes, however, shone with hope as he looked at me. "Serena, you stole all those deals because you still care, right?" I knew it. "Will you?" Chloe didn't let him finish, she slapped him and stalked out. He didn't even flinch, his gaze fixed on me. "Serena, will you forgive me?" The corner of my mouth lifted in a blade-thin smile, dashing his last fantasy. "I won't." Josh looked stunned, like he couldn't believe it, and tried to reach for my hand. But a bigger hand knocked his away. Ethan slipped an arm around my shoulders from behind and stared at Josh with cold amusement. "President Rivers doesn't have an invitation. Mind telling me how you got in? Isn't Rivers swamped lately? Funny that you've got free time to harass a Sterling employee." Josh's face went black. His eyes locked on Ethan's hand on my shoulder, teeth clenched. "I'm talking to my own girlfriend. That shouldn't concern President Sterling, should it?" Ethan's arm stayed where it was, he only tilted his head to look down at me. "Is he your boyfriend?" I shook my head and gave a short laugh, the same dismissive laugh Eleanor had once aimed at me, brimming with contempt. "No. Just trash." Ethan got the message at once and waved security over. They hauled Josh out. Before the door swung shut, Josh twisted back, guilt written all over his face. "Serena, I really know I was wrong. Forgive me, okay? Serena." Too bad the only answer he got was the sight of Ethan and me walking away. After the gala, I revved into high gear, using Sterling's clout to poach almost every client Josh had left. The day I snatched another whale, Eleanor finally cracked and called. "You bitch. I underestimated you. Listen up, do you honestly think stealing a few clients can gut us? Keep dreaming." I hung up mid-roar, then tossed another gallon of gasoline on the river's fire. I filed a police report and handed over every second of footage I owned. When the officers finished watching the clip of me being beaten, their faces softened in pity. A female officer poured me a cup of hot water and closed her warm hand over my trembling fingers. "Domestic violence is absolutely a crime," she said gently. "No matter how powerful the perpetrator is, if he broke the law, he's in our jurisdiction. Don't be afraid. Wherever this goes, we're behind you." I hadn't cried when I miscarried. I hadn't cried while the fists rained down. I hadn't cried in the hospital corridor while the doctor catalogued every bruise. But now tears burst through like a dam, washing every old humiliation away. Because the evidence chain was airtight, the police moved fast. I filed in the morning. By afternoon Josh was escorted into custody. I went to watch. Eleanor was shrieking my name, flinging herself at the officers to block them, and wound-up cuffed herself for obstructing justice. From his cell Josh had his lawyer contact me over and over, dangling every deal imaginable for a letter of forgiveness. I turned them all down. By the time early spring arrived, the trial opened. I produced the medical report and the footage. The court sentenced Josh to more than 10 years. Eleanor couldn't take it, her heart gave out in the courtroom and she was rushed to the ER. When she stabilized and tried to storm back into the boardroom to save her empire, she found the accounts had been gutted, every dollar wired out by Chloe, who had already boarded a flight overseas. The news sent her heart into final overload. I visited the funeral home, stared at the photo of the woman who had once looked down on me from impossible heights, now shrunk to a 4-inch square. Honestly? I was thrilled, so thrilled I had to dig my nails into my palms to keep from blasting celebration over the mourners. Josh behaved well enough in prison to be escorted to the funeral. We locked eyes. His once prized hair was gone, shaved to the scalp, and the arrogance had drained right out of him. I wore the latest runway dress, flawless makeup, jewelry that could finance a year of his prison commissary. He took me in, shock, remorse, 100 unreadable emotions, but I didn't linger. Ethan's arm was a steel band around my waist, lips brushing my ear. "Happy to see your old flame? Don't forget what you promised me." His muttering gave me a headache. I pressed my temple, wondering how I'd never noticed ice cold could talk this much. "It's nothing. Just stop talking, you're giving me a headache." The day I resigned, Ethan clung to my hand in his office and actually cried. "Serena, I can't lose you, the company can't lose you. Stay, whatever you hate, we'll fix it." I tugged my hand free and patted his shoulder. "I'm only starting my own business. Calm down." Eyes red, he whispered, "After you make it big, will you still want me?" Speechless, I soothed him like a child. "Relax. I'll be back." He had to watch me leave, but I kept my word. I came back, as a partner. After relentless grinding, my startup grew strong enough to stand shoulder to shoulder with Sterling. I became Ethan's client, the ultimate worker-to-boss dream nobody expects to live. Years later I heard about Josh again. After release he hunted down Chloe. He waited on her doorstep for months until she finally flew home. He showed no mercy, 28 stab wounds, every one lethal. He severed her head from her neck and carved out her heart with his own hands. When neighbors called 911 he fought back with a homemade bow before police shot him dead on sight. I had no reaction, until Ethan walked over, slipped an arm around me, kissed the corner of my mouth, and murmured, "Serena, now you never have to worry about him coming back." Thanks for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed the video, please like and share with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more gripping stories. See you next time.